After an incredible few days of birding in Rongtong, we set out for our next destination, Latpanchar. If you haven't watched part 1 yet, you'll find the link in the description. Latpanchar, a quiet offbeat village at the highest point of the Mahananda Wildlife Sanctuary, at around 4,500 feet, overlooking the Teesta River. A place where nature feels untouched. As we drove past Simring village, we stopped at a known hornbill spot, and we actually got lucky. A pair of Rufous-necked Hornbills, very far away. Just enough for a few record shots before moving on. By afternoon, we reached our homestay. After lunch, we headed out again, this time to Trogon Point. The red-headed Trogon, one of the most striking birds in these forests. We searched, walked, waited, but nothing. Sometimes that's just how it goes. But then, after some patient waiting, it finally happened. A pair of red-headed Trogons right there on the hillside. Calm, silent, and absolutely stunning. With the light fading, we headed back. But later that evening, we went out again. This time in search of something rare. It was pitch dark. No movement, no sound. And then, out of the darkness, it appeared. A Hodgson's frogmouth, perched right in front of us, perfectly still, almost invisible, a bird rarely seen, and somehow we were there. The perfect end to our first day in Latpanchar, and we were just getting started. The next morning, before we even set out, I managed to photograph a Himalayan black-lobed tit right around the vegetation near our stay. And not too far away, a blue-throated barbet quietly perched on a tree. But the real plan for today was something special. We were heading deeper into Latpanchar in search of one of its most iconic birds, the Rufous-necked Hornbill. The drive wasn't easy. Narrow, winding, unpaved roads, and a proper 4x4 climb through the forest, but eventually we made it. The first to greet us was an Indian peacock, just calmly standing on the forest floor. Around us, a few more birds moved through the trees, but our focus was already set. There was a lone fruiting tree here where a female Rufous-necked Hornbill had been seen before. So I waited, eyes fixed on that one tree, and then she flew in. Bold, calm, and started feeding on the fruits. The Rufous-necked Hornbill, a large, vulnerable forest bird found across the Himalayas and Southeast Asia. The female, completely black, quietly moving through the canopy. They depend on dense evergreen forests, large trees for nesting, and fruit for survival. Though they'll also take insects and even small reptiles. She came and went a few times. And while I got some good shots, I was really hoping to see the male. There had been a sighting the previous day, but today, nothing. We waited well into the afternoon, still no sign, so eventually we had to move on. After lunch, I spent some time around the homestay and found this beautiful verditer flycatcher perched quietly on a branch. There was also a pair of scarlet minivets, but I missed photographing them. Later that evening, I headed to a small bird hide. Just off the roadside with a short climb into the forest. And then we waited again. After some time, a few birds showed up, bathing in the small pool. Simple moments, but always worth it. As the light began to fade, the activity slowed down, and with that, I decided to call it a day. It was my last morning in Latpanchar, and before heading out to our next destination, I wanted to try my luck one last time. This time for the male Rufous-necked Hornbill. We headed back to the same spot, but today there was no 4x4. So we walked all the way down to that fruiting tree. And just like the day before, we waited and waited. But this time there were no hornbills, not even the female from yesterday. The forest carried on as it always does. A few other birds going about their day. And just before we decided to leave, the Indian peacock put on a beautiful display, almost like a quiet thank you for showing up. And just like that, my time in Latpanchar came to an end. No final sighting, but still a journey worth taking. Stay tuned for part 3, the final part of this series, as we explore another incredible birding hotspot in North Bengal. If you enjoyed this journey, do consider liking, subscribing, and sharing this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in part 3.